Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Vinyl Treasures. I'm your host, Johnny G. John Glendale, coming to you live each and every Saturday, only here on Top Shelf. Always want to welcome you to the November 16th, 2019 Vinyl Treasure Show. I am all discombobulated because YouTube has changed everything. So I apologize that I'm late, but those of you that are in the chat room, actually in the YouTube chat room, I hope everything is okay because it looks completely different. I know they came out with some new rules about child protection and all this, so I have this totally different setup here. So I hope I am broadcasting okay, everything's sounding okay, so you're going to have to let me know in the chat room there, those of you that are watching me. I'll get into the regular chat room there with you guys over on Top Shelf Oldies. But anyway, let's see if I can do this show tonight. It opened up tonight's 50s edition with a saxophonist, Noble Thin Man Watts, his third of 7 on Saul Rabinowitz's Baton label. A song he wrote, it was called Blast Off. What a blast off tonight. From January 1958. Now, you might know his biggest hit on Baton was a cool tune. It was called Hard Times the Slop back in 1958, but we just heard a song called Blast Off from January 58 by Noble Thin Man Watts on the Baton record label. Anyway, so enough of my babbling here. Let's start it off here with a vocal portion for this group out of Brooklyn, New York. It's the B-side to their second of 6 releases on Jerry Winston's Onyx label. Let's give a listen to the Velours. It's with Donald Haywood on lead, along with Sammy Lowe and the orchestra from March 1957. The Velours on Onyx with What You Do to Me.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
Baby, can you say, come and set my heart free. Baby, what you do to me? Yes, yes, play. Promise, darling, to be true and keep my heart from being blue. Baby, what you do to me? Just drive me crazy, sets my soul aflame, makes everything easy, and I hope you know, baby, that you're to blame. Oh, now you know how I love you so. Come back and never ever go, because you mean so much to me.
There you go there. There you go with the Velours. The Velours from March 1957 on Jerry Winston's Onyx record label. That is the B-side of the 45 of their second of 6 on Jerry Winston's Onyx label. What You Do to Me is the name of that one. It sounds like Jerome Ramos to me, but it's not, according to Marv Goldberg. It's Donald Haywood on lead. Of course, the A-side of that is a cool tune. It's called Romeo. That's one of the hardest 45s you can find by the Velours. Johnny G messing around with all my all my websites here. I'm not yet on YouTube yet, so I will be in there. I'm just trying to get my bearings here. So let's continue now. Let's go up to Buffalo, New York for this next group. It was founded by Danny Cannon and Donnie Elbert. Of course, Donnie went on to have a very successful solo career, but he arranged this 45 in addition to providing background vocals. It's on Herb Dexter's Beach label, Beech. Here are the Vibra Harps with Danny Cannon on lead, and this one charted number 19 on WVDA in Boston, Massachusetts, August 1956. The Vibra Harps on Beach. It's Cozy with Rosie.
Shoot, shooby-dooby-doo, shooby-doo-wah-wah. Shoot, shooby-dooby-doo, shooby-doo-wah-wah. Shoot, shooby-dooby-doo, shooby-doo-wah-wah.
The moon is shining, the stars are bright. I never saw such a beautiful night. I'm happy, so happy. I'm happy 'cause I'm cozy with Rosie tonight. Hold me close, hold me tight. I'm happy 'cause I'm cozy with Rosie tonight. Oh, what a night this really was, such a night. Only you and I beneath God's heavenly light. Hold me close, hold me tight. I'm happy 'cause I'm cozy to Rosie tonight. Oh, what a night this really was, such a night. Only you and I beneath God's heavenly light. Beneath God's heavenly
Yeah, those are the Vibra Harps. The Vibra Harps from August 1956 on the Beach label. Danny Cannon on lead. Cozy with Rosie is the name of that one. Always like that tune there. Now, the group would have two more releases, one on the Fury label, the other on the Atco label. The lead, Danny Cannon, would later change his name to Lenny O'Henry. Lenny O'Henry had some cool tunes in the early 1960s, late 50s, early 1960s. Let's continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show. We count down the music chronologically, and up next, a classic 45. I didn't have time to show it to you guys in the YouTube chat room there, but it's the debut single for this group from Asbury Park, New Jersey. It's on the After Hours label, and for you collectors out there, it only comes on red vinyl. I guess George Tompkins told me red vinyl meant that it was promo only. I don't know. It doesn't say promo, but let's say it is a promo. But anyway, it's arranged... what did I say here? It says, no, I messed up there. Comes on red vinyl. Now, the music is by Eddie Swanston, the Eddie Swanston Quintet. It features Bobby Thomas on lead. We go back to July 1954 for the Vibranaires on the After Hours label, and their classic tune. It's called Doll Face. Dude.
Doll face, you are my one desire. Doll face, you set my soul afire. Can't help it 'cause I'm so in love with you. Can't help it 'cause you thrill me. You thrill me through and through. Doll face, please kiss me right away. Take me, 'cause I'm your humble slave. I'll do anything, darling, you want me to. I'll go anywhere, anytime with you. Oh, darling, I'll be grateful to the Lord always for giving me you to love. Just goes to show you, darling, what prayers can do. I prayed to God and all my dreams came true.
Dollface, yes, please kiss me right away. Take me, 'cause I'm your humble slave. I'll do anything, darling, you want me to. I'll go anywhere, yes, anytime with you.
Oh, darling, I'll be grateful to the Lord always for giving me you to love. Just goes to show you, darling, what prayers can do. I prayed to God and all my dreams came true. I prayed to God and all my dreams came true.
As July 1954 there for the Vibranaires. The Vibranaires, a song entitled Dollface. It came out on the After Hours record label. Bobby Thomas on lead for that one, and that comes on red vinyl. Now, this label would change their name to the Chariot label, and Esther Navarro managed this group before she became the Cadillacs manager. Johnny G here, discombobulated for this Saturday evening. I apologize for that because YouTube has a whole new setup. I had to change the resolution. So I don't know, those of you watching the video, if it looks better, let me know if it looks better or it sounds better or something, because they said it was not compatible, so I had to switch everything around. I have the YouTube chat on the left, I have the Top Shelf Oldies chat in the middle, and I have the stream, my OBS stream in the middle, so I'm kind of like backwards here. But anyway, let's continue. Let's stay in 1954, and as I always do, I have a number of flip sides from the previous week. Here's my first, by a group called the Chord Cats, aka the Chords. Now, they were from the Bronx, New York. I played their third release on the Cat label, called A Girl to Love. So let's flip it over before it goes back down in the No Humidity basement. This one with Carl Feature on lead. We go to November 1954, the Chord Cats on Cat. It's called Hold Me Baby.
Hold me, baby, never, never let me go. Gee, I want you to know that I love you so. Ooh, baby, just squeeze me. Ooh, just give me the thrill. Ooh, just make it seem real. How I love you so. Well, the night is so lovely and the moon is shining too. It's just a sample, darling, and that I really love you. Just hold me, baby. Oh, just take me by the hand. Oh, won't you understand how I love you so? Never let me go. 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 Go, 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 go. The night is so lovely and the moon is shining too. It's just a sample, darling, that I really love you. Well, hold me, baby, never let me go. Ooh, want you to know, baby, that I love you so. Well, never let me go.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool tune. Like that tune there by the Chord Cats. Chord Cats with Carl Feaster on lead. November 1954 came out on the Cat record label. Hold Me Baby is the name of that one. The flip side of A Girl to Love. That's their third release on the Cat label. I'm looking at the video. It looks much better. It's like I can see all the details of that Cat 45 with the maroon print. Do you guys agree? You guys agree in the YouTube stream? Anyway, let's continue here. Let's stay in 1954 with a group from Harlem, New York, and it's on George Goldner's Rama record label. Now, this is their fifth on the label, features Sonny Norton on lead. And this is a special request for listener George Tompkins dedicated to his pal, the late Salmon Drone. We go to May of 1954. Give a listen to The Crows. The Crows on Rama with a song called Miss You.
Miss you, you know I miss you. Miss you, you know I love you so. I miss you every morning, even every night. Don't know the reasons why we had to fight. Tell me, my darling, do you think that it is right? Think that it's right. I love you, my darling, come what may. I never thought you'd leave me this way. So goodbye, my darling, I hate to see you go astray. And when you said you leave me, I said you don't dare. And when you walked out that door, I knew you didn't care. You know I love you, come what may. So goodbye, my darling, I knew you didn't care. I miss you every morning, even every night. Don't know the reasons why we had to fight. Tell me, my darling, do you think that it is right?
That's the great sound of the Crows. Great sound of the Crows going out to George Tompkins on behalf of the late Salmon Drone. May 1954, the Crows on Rama with their tune called Miss You. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Let's move into 1955. We head out to the West Coast to Dootsy Williams' Dutone record label. Many of you familiar with a group called the Medallions. I'm sure you know their signature song that was called The Letter. Now, the lead singer, he was Vernon Green, and in mid-1955, he teamed up with Frankie Marshall, pretty much a blues singer, but he has some releases on the solo releases of his own on the Atco label and the Spry label, and Kenneth Williams to form a trio, and they called themselves the Cameos. And here's their lone release on the Dutone label. It features Vernon Green on lead. We go to June of 1955, the Cameos on Dutone with their tune called Craving.
Doo-doo-doo-bum, doo-doo-doo-bum, doo-doo-doo-bum. I'm craving you night and day, longing to hear you say that you crave me too. I'm craving to feel your kiss and to know your sweet bliss, and you know I love you. I know I'm a fool, dear, for wanting you all the time, but if I can't have you, I know I'll lose my mind. I'm craving you in every way, longing to hear you say that you crave me too, that you crave me too. Longing to hear you say that you crave me too, 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 that you crave me too.
Yeah, those are the Cameos. Those are the Cameos. Actually, that's a trio there. The trio, the Cameos there with the lead singer Vernon Green, Kenneth Williams, and Frankie Marshall together. The Cameos, June 1955, song entitled Craving on Dootsy Williams' Dutone record label. You know, Dootsy Williams did not pay his performers that well with the royalty payments. The Penguins left them, and I think the Medallions were upset with not getting their royalties. So you know how it is with those label owners. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue. Now, last week I featured the Keynotes, another group out of Harlem, New York, with their second release on Bess Berman's Apollo label. It was called I Don't Know. It was a cool up-tempo. Let's flip it over here for the nice ballad written by the lead singer. His name is Floyd Adams. We go to December of 1955, the Keynotes on the Apollo label with their tune called A Star.
came to the rescue of love. My darling, I love you. All I need is one star. A star makes heavens glow, dear, at night. Makes the lovers know it's right. All I need is one star. The clouds chase the moon, and the stars refuse to shine. Well, my darling, say you love me. You won't let me go. To the rescue of love. My darling, I love you. All I need is one star.
To agree with Andrew. That's a great record there. Great tune by the Keynotes. Floyd Adams on lead, December 1955. That's their second release on Bess Berman's Apollo label. Song entitled A Star. I remember when I first got that record, was not on a 45. It was on a 78. I found it locally here in my town. I was pretty excited when I used to go to these garage sales. I used to find these 45s, other people's 45s, was interested in what they collected, and I found so many cool tunes. Actually, locally, I found my Swans on Steamboat, like right down the street at it was at a street sale. It was right in the person's garage. I was like, where'd you get these records? And they're like, no, my father brought them home to me, but they're 15 cents a piece. Of course, I went crazy. Anyway, Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue. We move into 1956 now with a group from Long Island, New York. Now, they first recorded on the Jubilee label as the Enchanters back in 1952. Then in 53, they changed their name to the Deltones, had releases on the Brunswick label. I don't have that Brunswick 45 by the group, but I have their Rainbow release. And then they recorded two on Saul Rabinowitz's Baton label. Let's give a listen to their second, and the lead singer on this one is Della Simpson. She's on lead. Let's go to March of 56 for the Deltones on Baton. It's called Believe It.
I told the world how much I love you. Now I'm gonna tell it to you. Please believe it. Please believe it. Because it's true.
Believe it, it's true. Believe
I love you, baby. Because your kisses are as sweet as a honeydew. Please believe it. Please believe it. Because it's true.
Believe it, it's true.
You've got a corner in my heart that no one else could ever tear apart. Your love's a funny kind of thing. It's got me jumping like a puppy on a string. That's my pretty baby. I need your loving like the flowers need the morning dew. Please believe it. Please believe it. Because it's true.
Believe it, it's true.
As Della Simpson and the Deltones. March 1956, it's on the Baton record label, a song entitled Believe It. And was that one? That's their second. That's their second of two on the Baton label. Now, Della Simpson in 1957, she will record on the Everlast label as the Kings and Queens. They actually do a pretty cool tune, that song by the Kings and Queens. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, back to the flip sides from last week, as I featured another Harlem, New York group. They were known as the Vocal Tones, and they also recorded for Bess Berman's Apollo label. I featured their second of three. It was called Darling, parentheses, You Know I Love You. Featured Bobby Johnson on lead. He's also doing lead on the flip side. I'm pretty sure the Colonel likes this group, so we're going to send it out to him. He's a fan of this group. This one from April of 1956, the Vocal Tones on Apollo, and their tune's called Three Kinds of People.
There are only three kinds of people in the world: a thinker, a doer, and a fool in love. One is a thinker who thinks of love, I'll send him an angel from heaven up above. He'll do his best to make her life complete. And a fool in love. Now there's a doer who'll do his part to make her life happy and satisfy her heart. I know that I love you until the day I die. Boom, boom. Well, I remember what you told me the first night we met. Oh, you told me you'd never leave me. Well, believe me, I'll never forget. Oh, baby, come sit by my side. For your love, my darling, I'll never hide. I'll just be your fool. I'll be your fool. In love, there are only three kinds of people in the world: a thinker, a doer, and a fool in love.
Yeah, I know the Colonel likes that tune there by the Vocal Tones. Vocal Tones, April 1956. That's the second of three on Bess Berman's Apollo record label. Three Kinds of People is the name of that one. That's a cool tune. I have that. That was a promo. That was my first copy that I got. I got like a mint stock copy too. And you know Johnny G is the completist, and I need my head examined. Yes, I do. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Now, last week I played a request for Métis Campboy. She requested Philadelphia's own Turbans. I played their third release on Al Silver's Herald label. It was called I'm Nobody's, a wonderful ballad that song was. Let's give a spin to the flip side, which is a novelty up-tempo rocker. Gotta ask Brian if he has this 45. Brian, you have this Turbans 45. Better check your stash there. Features Al Banks on lead. This one from April 1956. Let's flip over I'm Nobody's. This one on the Herald label. You get the Turbans with Al Banks on lead and a tune called Bingo.
B-21,
B-21,
I-35,
I-35,
in
That's a fun tune there by the Turbans. Al Banks and the Turbans out of Philadelphia, April 1956. It's B-I-N-G-O. Bingo is the name of that one. Yes, Brian does have that 45. I figured he would. My grandmother used to like to play bingo. I remember I went on a cruise. I was 1965, believe it or not. I went on a cruise to Italy, 11 days, because my father's relatives, my grandparents, were in Italy. So we took, I think it was, I don't know if it was, one of the boats was like the Leonardo da Vinci, the other one was the Michelangelo. One to go and one to come back. Believe it or not, 11 days I think it's to go, and I don't know how many to come back. And she used to take me to bingo on that boat. I was what, 58? I was 6 years old, almost 7 years old at the time. And I remember the first time I saw Bye Bye Birdie with Anne Margaret. Yes, Johnny G here, babbling for a Saturday evening as we continue here. And back to Los Angeles, California, we go for a group called the Twilighters. Now, the lead singer of this group at the time was called Little Charles Wright, who in the late 1960s and early 70s, he would, or the late 1960s going into the 70s, he had a group called the Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band. They had a big hit on the Warner Brothers label called Express Yourself, plus others. Loveland was another one. Those are 45s that I bought back then. But initially, he was the lead of this group called the Twilighters. Now, this song came out originally on the Charlie label as by Little Charles Wright. Now, the A-side was a song called Eternally, and the flip side was called I Believe, but the flip side that was used on that first press was by, even though it said Little Charles Wright, it was another tune by, or another group by the New Tones that recorded it. Now, disc jockey, West Coast disc jockey Dick Huggy Boy Hug, he liked the song and he put it out on his Caddy label. Now, the first presses of this come out with Eternally, the original version of Eternally, but they're flipped with that New Tones I Believe, which I do have that 45 because I bought that from Jerry Diaz many years ago. But this is the, I guess, the second press version that I'm featuring, as it was redone by Charles Wright, and that's the press I mentioned as I'm playing this one from October 1956. We go to the Caddy label for the Twilighters with the B-side. It's called I Believe.
Let God be first. You are second or none. My love is for you and no other one. I believe in you. I will be true, 'cause I believe in you. Let God be first, no other one. We can be good and still have fun. I believe in what you do. I know you'll be true, 'cause I believe in you.
That 16-year-old Little Charles Wright. Yes, he's on lead there with a group called the Twilighters, October 1956 on the Caddy label. That's the B-side of the 45. It's called I Believe. That's a cool tune. Now, this would also be picked up by Dot Records a month later, so some of you collectors out there, I'm sure you own it on the Dot label. I do. I don't have it on the Charlie label, though. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening spinning original vinyl 45s. Back to Harlem, New York we go. For the Willows. The Willows, initially they recorded as the Five Willows, releases on the PD label and on the Allen label, also Herald Records. They changed their name to the Willows when they signed with the Morty Craft's Melba label, of course, with their big hit, you know that one, Church Bells May Ring. But here's a release on Carl Edelson's Club label with Tony Middleton on lead. It's with Cherokee and Band. You see that name on a lot of the New York 45s. Let's go to November of 1956 for the Willows on Club. It's called Don't Pull, Don't Push, Don't Shove.
Sure. Hey, you don't have to fight me for my love. Just hold my hand and kiss my cheek. That's all it takes to make me weak. I don't push, don't pull, don't shove. Cause I'm already for love. I don't push, don't pull, don't shove. Hey, I know everything you're thinking of. Just to squeeze me, I don't push, I don't pull, don't shove. Hey, give me time to thank the man above. Well, I'm as happy as I can be. You took me out of my misery. Don't push, don't pull, don't shove. Cause I'm already for love. Just to squeeze me, I don't push, I don't pull, don't shove. Hey, give me time to thank the man above. Well, I'm as happy as I can be. You took me out of my misery. Don't push, don't pull, don't shove. Cause I'm already no love. I don't push, don't pull, don't shove. Cause I'm already for love. I don't push, don't pull.
Those are the Willows. The Willows, Tony Middleton on lead there with the Willows, November 56. It's on the Club label. The Club label, Don't Pull, Don't Push, Don't Shove is the name of that one. And I'm looking for a record on that Club label. It's the I Wanna Be Free is the name of that one. Who's doing that? Oh, I have it on LaSalle. I know, Daryl, you're going to let me know who that is, but I do need it on the Club label. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. I hope everybody's digging on the cool tunes. Had a problem setting up. I don't know how that video is going to look. It should be interesting how everything posts with this new YouTube thing. They sent me an email. They said I had to they wanted to know if my show is okay for kids. I really didn't know what to say. And they tell you that kids are considered younger than 13. I guess my show is not particularly geared to kids 13 and younger. So I said, not really. And I didn't want to have to go and check every video that I have posted. I have a lot going back, I think, to 2016, maybe before then, on my YouTube page. So I said no. I said it's basically for, adult teens and I'm much older anyway, you old guys. I'm an old guy. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue. Now, last week I played a request for UK listener Eddie Votex. He wanted the Turks, a.k.a. the Hollywood Flames, on John Dolphin's Cash label, and their rendition of the tune Wagon Wheels. That featured Bobby Bird only. Let's flip it over, give a listen to the A-side, which features Gaynell Hodge only. This one from July of 61 on the Cash label. Here are the Turks with It Can't Be True.
It can't be true, it can't be true, it can't be true. No, don't try to tell me, baby, that your love for me is true. I may look like a stranger, but I'm nobody's fool. Yes, I found you out, and I know you can't be true. You can't be true, you can't be true. Yes, I found you out, and I know you can't be true. Pack up everything you own, 'cause it's time for you to move. Well, everybody tells me how you love to play. I'm tired of your cheating, so be on your merry way. Everybody tells me that your love for me is true. Pack up everything you own, 'cause it's time for you to move. Well, everybody tells me how you love to play. I'm tired of your cheating, so be on your merry way. Everybody tells me that your love for me is true. I may look like a stranger, but I'm nobody's fool. You can't be true, you can't be true.
That's Gaynell Hodge and the Turks there, July 1956. It's on John Dolphin's Cash label, also on the Money label. Cash and Money, yes, that's what they wanted. It Can't Be True is the name of that one. So anyway, that's a cool tune as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. I like the setup, the stream. I don't know, those of you watching, is the background like black? Is that how you see it with white print? Is that how it is? I don't know if that's how it looks, because I really can't see. I just look at, I have what I'm broadcasting, so, and maybe it's caught up on the time, because I know there was a time delay also in the broadcast too. I don't know. Anyway, let's continue here. I featured a couple of the Dells VJ releases over the last couple of months. I featured their 11th and their 12th VJ releases, which I think was Dry Your Eyes and I Wanna Go Home. But here is their 7th for VJ, features Marvin Jr. Only. This one charted number 8 on WAAF in Chicago, Illinois. Let's go back to October of 1957 for the Dells on the VJ label. And it is A Definite Truth, the title of this song. Time makes you change.
Time marches on marches time. Ding dong, sha-la-la-la. Well, time, it make you change your mind. It make you laugh, make you cry. It make you almost die.
Those are the great Dells, the Mighty Dells. The Mighty Dells there on the VJ record label, October 1957. Marvin Jr. on lead for that one. Time Makes You Change is the name of that. Brian, tell Norm that plays pretty nice, that copy. Now, both sides of this 45 are killer. The flip is called Pain in My Heart. And, of course, I'll get that one on a future show. Now, speaking of shows now, I'm going next show, let's put it this way, the next show I plan on doing will be a tribute to my Aunt Mary, who passed away earlier in the year. And she was supposed to be a guest on my show to talk about the 1950s and how she got involved in the music, but that will never happen. But I will be playing some of her favorite records. Some of them might be some common records, some not so common, but they were the records that shaped my collecting hobby and really are the core of what I collect, because the core of the music that I collect is this type of music. Of course, it gravitated more into soul into the 1960s. I do my last show of every month, so next Saturday it will be a dedicated show to my aunt. So I may have some of her favorites. The majority of them will be group records, but there will be some solo artists there that she liked, and I'm sure many of you will know a lot of the songs. She wasn't into the rarities as I was, but if she had a box of records that she got from the jukebox distributor, and there was a rarity in there, she would keep it, because she used to buy records based on sound. If she heard them on the radio, she'd go get them, but if she had records in some place and she could test play, she bought them just how they sound. That was it. Or if it was a B-side of a hit, she would only play the B-side, or she would buy it for the B-side. But that's the show next weekend. It will be a special tribute show to my Aunt Mary. As we continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show, just heard the Dells. Here's a request for Nat Papagallo, listening in Naples, Florida. Nat, you're watching me on your phone or your TV. Some people watching on the TV. Got to say hi to them. But Nat wanted to hear this group from the Bronx, New York, female lead with male backing, and had this one release that came out on the Mode label, and the lead singer, her name is Marilyn Durant. She's on lead. So going out to Nat Papagallo, September 57, they're called the Juveniles. The Juveniles on the Mode label. It's called I've Lied.
I've lied. I've lied. Baby, just for you, I've cried. When I thought we were through, I've lied. Just because I love you. Just because of you, I've lied. Every night and day I've cried. Just because you've gone away, I've lied. Just because I love you. Oh yes, I
That's by request for Nat Papagallo, listening in Naples, Florida. Those are the Juveniles, September 1957. And on the Mode label, a song entitled I've Lied. Now, Marilyn Durant, she was on lead for that. Now, for you collectors out there, the true first press has to have a thick white border around the circle of the label all the way around. Now, after Marilyn left the group, the guys recorded as the Twilights on the Finesse label in 1959 and also as the Embers on the Empress label. Now, Marilyn left the group to have a baby, and she's a Facebook friend of mine, according to Charlene. I didn't even know, but her name is Marilyn Piekarski, and she was the lead of the Juveniles. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on the cool tunes here. Now, on last week's Vinyl Treasure Show, I played a request for Henderson, Nevada listener Chuck Staton by the Chesters, a.k.a. Little Anthony and the Imperials, and he requested the ballad side, The Fires Burn No More, now written by Anthony Gourdine, a.k.a. Little Anthony, and Little Anthony also wrote the B-side of the 45. This one arranged by Sammy Lowe. Let's go to December of 1957. We flip over The Fires Burn No More on the Apollo label by the Chesters. You get this tune. It's called Lift Up Your Head.
I know, I really know. Lift up your head, look straight, knock on the door, and away she'll come running like she did before.
B-sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the Chesters, the flip side of The Fires Burn No More. Anthony Gourdine on lead there. December 1957, Lift Up Your Head came out on the Apollo record label. I think that comes multiple ways on the Apollo label. I think you get I guess with the revival in the early 60s, that came out on the yellow Apollo label, the same thing as the Lark's My Reverie. You can get it on like the second press label, which I have, but I have the first press of My Reverie. Yes, I haven't played any of those Larks records. I should pull them out anyway. Johnny G here, babbling here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue here now. This week was the second time that I had two different listeners request the same song. So I don't know if somebody else played this or this is showing up on YouTube or what, but it's the second time this happened. I think it happened last week or the week before, but both Matey Campboy and Nat Papagallo wanted to hear this group from Glen Cove. They're out of Glen Cove, Long Island. Now, their first single came out on the Herald label in 1955, but they requested their second release. Came out on William Henry Miller's Acme label as we go back to September of 1957 for the Sunbeams. It features Henry Williamson on lead, Acme Records. This is a great tune. It's called Please Say You'll Be Mine. Request for Métis and Nat. Those are the Sunbeams. The Sunbeams, September 1957 on the Acme label. Please Say You'll Be Mine is the name of the tune. Henry Williamson on lead for that. That is a cool tune. That was my number one song from 1957. I used to vote in those Relic Rack countdowns that was on that were on the Group Harmony Review. I voted in the majority of them. I don't think I voted in 1954, but I voted in from 55 to whenever they did it through 59. I think it was Relic Rack that compiled, or a bunch. Bruce, I forget the guys' names that did it, and they would come on and they'd play. Maybe for two shows, they'd feature maybe the first 100 or so in two shows, but that was my number one record for 1957. I got to thank Ken Thompson for selling me that so many years ago. I was at I used to get together with a couple of guys, well, actually it was more than a few people in New Jersey. I started with like John Clemente and a bunch of his friends when he used to sing in his group, the Echelons. Used to get together and we used to either trade or bring records and buy from. I think Warren, you used to do that. I think also used to have a get together of local people to buy and trade or sell records, kind of like a mini record convention, but for people local. I did that for a lot of years here in Westchester County, but then it's kind of stopped, got too busy with work. But I really do have to get to that Allentown, Pennsylvania show, because just for the social aspect of it, I do. And I haven't seen those guys in such a long time. Everybody looks like they age, though. Anyway, Johnny G babbling on here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. Now, last month, I featured both sides of Dean Barlow and the Monterey's on the Onyx label. I played Dearest one week and the flip side, Through the Years. Now, the B-side, Through the Years, featured Ed Sonny Jordan on lead, and I have an Ed Sonny Jordan on lead again this time with his group, the Five Delights. It's on Jerry Winston's Newport label. Let's send this one out to George Tompkins from June of '58. The Five Delights on Newport, and their tune called There'll Be No Goodbye.
I'm sure my love as far my love as stars are high, there'll be no goodbye.
Request for George Tompkins. Those are the Five Delights. Five Delights from June of 1958 on the original label, the Newport label. It was picked up by Unart Records, I think a month or two after that. There'll Be No Goodbye is the name of that one. Ed Jordan on lead for that. Now, this group would return as the Mood Makers, and they will return later on in the show if I ever get to it. Johnny G spinning original vinyl 45's. We do it every Saturday from 10 to midnight with some overtime. We always do that. But on last week's Vinyltreasure Show, I had a twin spin for a Bobby Hendricks on Juggy Murray's Sue label. I played the B-side to his first release on the Sue label. It was called 1,000 Dreams. I also featured his third release called It's Misery. So let's flip over and give a listen to the A-side of his first release, which is really his signature song and his biggest hit as a soloist. Was number 42 on Cashbox, 25 on Billboard, number 5 on the Billboard R&B chart. It's with Jimmy Oliver's orchestra. I think Jimmy Oliver also wrote the tune. And, of course, backup vocals, they're being supplied by the Coasters. So we have hits here on the Vinyltreasure Show, June 1958. Bobby Hendricks on Sue with his hit. It's called Itchy Twitchy Feeling.
Sitting here wonder what it's all about. This rock and roll music that makes you shout. You tune in on bandstand, they're jumping like mad, and the dancing they're doing, it don't look bad. You get that itchy twitchy feeling. You start rocking and reeling. Soon your arms and legs start flapping like a hound of mouth yakking. You're rocking and rolling. You don't understand it, but it sure feels nice. You thought you might try it about once or twice. You started with that dance they call the stroll, but you felt much better doing rock and roll. You get that itchy twitchy feeling. You started rocking and reeling. Soon your arms and legs start flapping like a hound of mouth yapping. You're rocking and rolling. You got it bad, you got that itchy twitchy feeling. You start rocking and reeling. Soon your arms and legs start flapping like a hound of yapping. You're rocking and rolling. I don't understand it, why you go. There must be something about this music that I don't know. I went to a hop and it didn't take long. I got the feeling something was going wrong. You got that itchy twitchy feeling. You started rocking and reeling. Soon your arms and legs start flapping like a hound of mouth yapping. You're rocking and rolling. Soon your arms and legs start flapping like a hound of mouth yapping. You're rocking and rolling. Soon your arms and legs start flapping like a hound of mouth yapping. You're rocking and rolling.
That's the first of 8 for Bobby Hendricks on the Sue label, Juggy Murray's Sue record label. That's the hit from June 58, Itchy Twitchy Feeling. I'm sure that Dick Clark played that on American Bandstand. That was covered by the Swallows on the Federal label, one of their later releases there. Anyway, Johnny G here, spinning original vinyl 45's. Let's send this next song out to the Colonel for this group out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Their first release came out on George Gollner's Mark X label, included 2 members of the Quadrelles, and they were Earl Worsham and John Christian. They were from the Quadrelles, James Oscar Williams, actually the Quadrelles, and I think the Turbans, those 2 guys were from. James Oscar Williams from the Quadrelles, and Kent Peeler was from the Dreamers, the Grand Dreamers, and Roosevelt Simmons, he was from the Sensation. They formed this group called the Universals on their Mark X label. That was their first release. Their second release came out on the Coralie label. Earl Worsham, he left the group, and they recorded for Coralie Records. I think, again, George Gollner involvement on here because they are his Matrix numbers. The tune written by Billy Dawn Smith and Larry Harrison. This one features Roosevelt Simmons on lead by request for the Colonel, February 58. These are the Universals with the tune called The Picture.
Sitting in the park,
and me. A picture our name was carved in a tree. For all our friends to see. My love is yours, and you belong to me. But you must know this picture just makes my poor heart yearn. For if I gave it all my life, it couldn't love me in return. Oh, if you feel the way I feel, you can make this picture real. Then if the picture fades, there'll still be you and me.
Send that one out to the Colonel. That's a cool tune there by the Universals. The Universals on the Coralie label. February 1958, song entitled The Picture. Great tune there. Gotta say hi to Seppo. Seppo, where are you listening? It's morning time there, so I have a lot of international listeners that tune into the Vinyl Treasure Show. If not live, they definitely tune in on the archive, both the video archive and also at vinyltreasures.org. And he is I've been listening for a while. I know he likes a lot of the videos, so thank you, Seppo, for finally, coming into the chat room. I got to say hello to you. Thank you so much all for tuning in to the Vinyl Treasure Show and watching Johnny G and watching these cool records. I know if it's too bad that a lot of the shows like the Time Capsule Show and the Group Harmony Review, you couldn't really see the records as they were playing, because I know hearing from a lot of the old-time collectors that actually have sold their records, they had to sell their records for, to just have extra money, just wanted to not have anybody to deal with the records later on. They like to look at the records that they once had, which is, and I wish I had that opportunity to do it. I know Warren, a collector out in Oregon, he likes to see a lot of these labels. I think Andrew likes to see the labels, and people that post on Facebook, for collectors, it's like really mesmerizing. It's like an addiction. Johnny G addicted to vinyl. And I don't know if anybody saw it. Did anybody see John Tefteller's write-up about, he was at the Texas show, and he was noticing changes in the collecting hobby, as there are not a lot of, there are a lot of collectors, let's put it that way, but a lot of the music is available through social media and so many avenues. So, if you listen to Hi-Fi Tim and his record wall, Tim doesn't have to buy the original records. You can get them off the internet. You can get them off of CDs. You can steal them from Johnny G, as I know many people that have shows do. But I could say, and it's not that I'm being boastful at all, but for many years that I've been collecting, I have amassed a lot of records, and there's certain people that can appreciate it, especially Barbara can appreciate it, and a lot of you collectors out there, it takes a while to develop a collection, especially if you don't have a lot of money to spend, and not all of us do. So, but John Tefteller had a pretty cool write-up. I wanted to post on there that I'm trying to promote the hobby, because I do play original. originals. That's what I want. I do. I don't play MP3s. I don't play CDs. And I know the true collectors out there like Andrew and Warren and a few of the others that that's why they like this type of show, I think. And I'm glad to have listeners like those and others that are in my chat room that collect the music. And they do shows all around the world. So again, I saw a post by Stereo Tom that didn't make sense. It kind of got me irate. It was talking about why people have so many records. People collect for a lot of reasons. Some people only collect records that deal with baseball. Other people just collect girl groups. Other people collect pop. And you didn't understand why people had so many. I don't like to boast about it, but at one time I was a completist. I wanted to collect everything, but that wasn't reality. Anyway, Johnny G babbling on here. Let's continue with the music. And last week I played a request for The Colonel by the Cruisers out of Brooklyn, New York. Played the intended B-side. It was called Foolish Me. That was a cool ballad. Let's flip it over for the up-tempo side. This is on the Zebra label. This one from September 58. The Cruisers on Zebra. It's called There's a Girl.
Well, there's a this girl that I know, this girl I love so, this girl that doesn't know let you go. This girl that I know, this girl I love so, this girl that doesn't know let you go. Baby, I want you to know that I got the high smile group love you so. Come, let's make a paradise. Then you know I love you so. This girl that I know, this girl I love so, this girl that doesn't know let you go. Baby, I want you to know that I really love you so. Please, please don't go away. Cause I want you to stay. This girl that I know, this girl I love so, this girl that doesn't know the language of love. Baby, I want you to know that kind of high smile I love you so. Come, let's make a paradise, and then you'll know I love you so. This girl that I know, this girl I love so, this girl that doesn't know the language of
A group out of Brooklyn, New York on the Zebra label. Not many releases on that Zebra label, but very interesting records on Zebra. The Cruisers, September 1958. There's a Girl is the name of that one, the flip side of Foolish Me. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Now let's continue with the flip side. Now last week I played a request for California listener Métis Campboy. She requested the Heartbeats, their second release on Morris Levy's Roulette label. It was called One Day Next Year, but I also liked the B-side of the 45, so let's give it a spin before it goes back down in the no humidity basement. The late James Shepard on lead. He also co-wrote the tune. This one from July 58. The great Heartbeats on Roulette with Sometimes I Wonder.
Sometimes I wonder, will she come home? I'm sad and blue and all alone. But to me, don't leave me in misery. I sit and cry Oh, I know she cares. Why should I lie? It wouldn't be fair. Come back to me. Don't leave me in misery. Down on my knees, I'm begging you, please, come on back to me. Love me somebody. How long can I last trying to forget the past? It's hopeless, can't you see? Sometimes I wonder. Will she come home? I'm sad and blue and all alone. Come back to me. Don't leave me in misery. Sometimes I wonder.
That's James Shepard and the Heartbeats on Morris Levy's Roulette record label. That's the B-side to One Day Next Year from July 1958. It's called Sometimes I Wonder. That's their second release on the Roulette record label. Their first one was called Down on My Knees. I'm sure many of you know that tune. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, and I know listener George Tompkins digs this next 45. It's on the Pet label. Pet Records, formed by a pair of Dons. Yeah, Don Carter and Don Roby. Now, Don Carter was a VP for George Goldner's Gone label, in addition to Morris Levy's sales manager for his Roulette record label that we just heard. And Roby, of course, was the owner of Duke Peacock Records down in Houston, Texas, and they were looking for local talent here in the New York area, and they were the ones that discovered Norman Fox and the Rob Roys. That's how he ended up on Don Roby's Backbeat label. But anyway, this one is by a group called the Gay Knights. It's from April of 1958. I know Mr. Tompkins likes this tune. It's on the Pet label. I'm featuring it on the Pink DJ copy. These are the Gay Knights with The Loudness of My Heart.
Of my heart, he's beating my heart. He's so loud and clear. He's beating my heart. He's trying your neck. He's beating my heart, dear. He's so loud and clear. Beating my lonely heart. Well, each time you're near me, he's beating my heart. Brings you one step closer to me. He's beating my heart. He's beating my heart, dear. I adore you so much. Beating my lonely heart means I need you so much. Never let you go. Because I love you so. He's been of my lonely heart. Well, each time you're near me, beat of my heart brings you one step closer to me.
That's going out to George Tompkins. The Gay Nights there, April 1958. The Loudness of My Heart. That one there on the Pet record label. So Brian wants to shoot spitballs at me, does he? Well, Brian, you're going to why don't you throw snowballs at me, Brian, as you wallow in that snow up in the Wisconsin area. Anyway, Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. Now, last week, I opened up the Vinyltreasure Show with a group called the Cordovans. The Cordovans came out on Hiram Johnson's Johnson label. It was called Come On Baby. That was the jump side. Let's flip it over. It's the lone release for this group, and the flip side is a nice ballad, a kitty lead ballad. So let's give a listen to the Cordovans from February 1958, Johnson Records, a song entitled My Heart. B-sides here on the Vinyltreasure Show, February 1958 release for the Cordovans. The Cordovans on the Johnson label, a song entitled My Heart. Gotta say hello to Seppo, listening in Finland. He's listening in Finland, morning time in Finland. I think he mentioned he's going to have to go to work soon. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, Seppo. I know he's a listener to Johnny G's show, and I'm glad that I could interact with a lot of the listeners now. It's really a lot of fun to do that. I hope you're having fun for a Saturday night here like Johnny G is. We continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show. Now, a week ago, I played one of the first records to be published by Berry Gordy Jr.'s publishing firm. It was Joe Bett Music, and it was done by Wade Jones and the Raber Voices. Last week I featured the ballad side. It was called Insane, an insane record I like. I like that record a lot. But that was really the intended B-side of the 45, which I do like better than the A-side, but this side deserves a play. This is the A-side of the 45. It was written by the singer. His name is Wade Jones. Let's give it a spin here on the Raber label, January January 1959, Wade Jones, and his song's called I Can't Concentrate.
Darling, I can't concentrate with you on my mind. Oh, I can't concentrate, think of you all the time. And I remember when you left, so good was my song. But if you just come back to me, I'll never do you wrong. Darling, I can't concentrate with you on my mind. Oh, I can't concentrate, think of you all the time. And when you said you'd not return, how my heart burned. Darling, I can't concentrate with you on my mind. No, I can't concentrate, think of you all the time. And I remember when you left, so good was my song. But if you just come back to me, I'll never do you wrong. Darling, I can't concentrate with you on my mind. Oh, I can't concentrate, think of you all the time. And if I could hold you again, then I'd feel so fine. So come back, come back to me. A new love you will find. 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 A new love you will find.
Early Motown sound here on the Vinyltreasure Show. Wade Jones with the Rayber Voices, backing him up January 1959 on the Rayber label, a song entitled I Can't Concentrate. Johnny G can't concentrate every Saturday from 10 to midnight as these records make me wild. Yes, they do, but I enjoy playing them for you, the Top Shelf Oldies listeners and the YouTube listeners there, so let's continue here. Here's a request for listener Métis Campboy. She wanted to hear this girl group, the Bobettes. They mostly with the novelty type sounds, but this more of a serious sound. Their fifth release, fifth of sixth on the Atlantic label, written by group member Emma Pott and her childhood sweetheart David Patron, who would later become her husband. Let's go back to May of 1959, going out to Matey, the Bobettes on Atlantic with You Are My Sweetheart.
but always.
As by request from Matey Campboy, currently in our YouTube chat room. That's a cool tune by the Bobettes. May 1959, the fifth of 6 releases on the Atlantic record label. Song entitled You Are My Sweetheart. A 45 that my aunt had in her collection was Mr. Lee, but she bought it for the flip side. Look at the stars. Remember we had a listener at Top Shelf, Malcolm, and that was one of his favorite songs. I used to play that for Malcolm, and I think I used to play the flip side of the Caslon's Anniversary of Love. I forget what the name of it was, but those were his 2 favorite songs. Johnny, I don't know why I said that, but anyway, Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Let's head back out to Los Angeles, California for this vocal quartet. Consisted of Leo Pegas, Everett Henderson, and Jimmy Batten, and then there was one other guy that they couldn't remember, and this one's on the Magnet label, and they're being backed up by Scott Johnson's orchestra, written by group member Jimmy Batten, Batten, and he's probably the lead singer on this. And as we go back to as we are in 1959 here for a group called the Marvels. The Marvels on the Magnet label. It's called Did She Leave You?
Did she leave you?
Leave. Oh, yes, she left me.
Did she leave?
Oh, yes, she left me.
What was the reason?
Didn't do no reason. That was the reason. Yeah.
Where did she go?
Leave. I wish I knew.
Where did she go?
Leave. I wish I knew.
If you know,
Leave. Please tell me so. I'd like to know. I remember the times we were so happy and gay, but until that sad day, I realized why she went away. That's not for me to say.
did she leave you?
Leave. Oh, yes, she left me.
Did she leave you?
Oh, yes, she left me.
What was the reason?
Didn't do no reason. That was the reason. Hey.
Where did she go?
Leave. I wish I knew.
Where did she go?
Leave. I wish I knew.
If you know,
Please tell me so. I'd like to know.
Yeah, that bubble in the wax. they're out of Los Angeles, California. They're called the Marvels. The Marvels is from 1959 on the Magnet label. It was called Did She Leave You? So when I was talking with Charlene when I'm preparing for the show, as Charlene, of course, everybody knows, she helps me with the research. I said, Charlene, the Marvels have one L. And then she said, no, Johnny, I mean 2 L's. She said, no, Johnny, they have 1 L. I said, no, it's two L's. I have the record in front of me. It's 2 L's. So she showed me on Discogs, she showed me a picture with 1 L, and I looked at the picture. I said, that doesn't look right. Is that a bootleg? I wasn't sure. I know I have an original of that. But My Marvells, Marvells, has 2 L's. So I don't know if, Warren, you have that record, if you can check your copy, if you have 1 L or 2. But their next record, which came out on the Munrab label, like Munrab 1008, which is actually a very rare 45 that I don't have, they have 1 L on that release. H.B. Barnum produced that 45. And they also, this Marvells group, they also recorded as the Deltones on the Rowan label. That's a rare tune. It's called Best Wishes. I have played that here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Johnny G here, spinning original vinyl 45s. Now, last week, I played a request for Nat Papagallo by a group called the Ideals. They were a West Coast group called the Ideals. I featured the B-side of the 45, which was a ballad. It was called Please Jan, and the lead singer on there, a male lead, was Norman Schwartz. Now, the A-side features a female lead, but we couldn't find, Charlene nor I could find out who this female lead was. They had the B-side, maybe because the guy who sang it gave some information. But if anybody knows, let Johnny G know. But let's give a listen to the A-side from March of 59, the Ideals. It's on the Stars of Hollywood label. It's called Always Yours.
I wrote you a letter the other day. Can't even remember what I had to say. All I know is that I closed it with always yours. Always yours. Don't know why I wrote it, just felt that I should. Didn't even give it to you, didn't have the nerve. All I know is that I signed it with always yours. I can't remember when I've ever been so blue. I should, didn't even give it to you, didn't have the nerve. All I know is that I closed it with always yours. Always yours. Always yours. Always yours.
That record sounds like another record running through my mind. And the flip side of that, when I played the flip side last week, the side called Please Jan, it was an Elegance record, and I have to thank George Tompkins for telling me, yes, Johnny, you were thinking of Please Believe Me by the Elegance. I think that was it. But this sounds like another record, a West Coast record, and I can't place it. Maybe somebody can place it, but those are the Ideals from March 59. That's the A-side. Always Yours on Stars of Hollywood. Johnny G here, spinning original vinyl 45s. We got another request here from my California listener, Métis Campboy. She picked a very rare record. She did. And this one is out of the state of Kentucky on Tom Birch's Nyko label. And I like both sides of this 45 as we move into 1960 now with a group called Bonnie and Little Boys Blue. And Matey requested the A side of the 45, and it was written by Bonnie. Her name is Bonnie Johnson. So by request for Matey Campboy, a very rare 45 on the Nyko label. It's from May 1960, going out to Matey, Bonnie and Little Boys Blue. It's called Bells. As by request for Matey Campboy, that's a rare 45 out of the state of Kentucky on the Nyko label, May 1960, Bonnie and Little Boys Blue. On the Nyko label, that's the intended A side, a song entitled Bells. Thanks for requesting that one. I got that record sometime around 2000 from via Greg Surik, via a dealer in Texas that had that record. And I know he met me. I had to sneak down. I was working in White Plains, New York with cash. I had to deal in cash, and that was not a cheapo record. I will tell you that much. I usually, when I get records for like 15 cents, but I wish I got that for 15 cents. Anyway, Johnny G babbling on here. We are in the early 60s now, and this next 45, I vividly remember purchasing it from a dealer from Massachusetts. Did anybody ever deal with Mike Michelle? Mike Michelle, and he had a lot of inventory of 45s. He would put out a list in the 80s. You remember, it was like he would mail you the list, and it was you had to mail him back your request. I don't think you had to send him the money, but he would send you a bill, and he would tell you that I don't really like that kind of thing with the set sale. Actually, there's one person that I don't deal with anymore because of something like that. And I won't say who it is, but he said, I think I got the list not too long ago, and I just told him, I says, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. I buy a lot of records, and you mail it to me, and I spend hours and hours, and he's on the East Coast, not on the West Coast. I spend hours and hours going through the list, and there's $3 records, there's $10 records, there's $15, there's $200 records, there's $400 records, and I'm looking, I spend all this time, and I send it in, and I win all the $2 and $3 records that I really didn't want. And I said, you can't do it this way. I'm not going to deal with it. You're going to lose me as a customer. I don't have to be the first one, but you cannot. I send you 50 records that I want, and you sold them all already. I said, it ain't going to work. So I said, we'll try it with email. Of course, the email comes the day before I get the list in the mail. I said, that doesn't work either. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but anyway, those are the woes of collecting. But I purchased this one from a dealer, Mike Michelle, who is no longer with us, by the way, unfortunately. But he had quantity on this great two-sided 45 on Frank Papagallo's Casa Grande label. The label was out of, I think it's Woburn, if I pronounce it right, you people from Massachusetts, Woburn, Mass. But the group is from Brockton. Brockton, Massachusetts, and they have two on the label. This is their first. It features Big John Croft on lead here from August of 1960. Here are the blends on Casa Grande. It's called Now It's Your Turn.
Since long ago, now it's your turn to love me forevermore. I love you, baby, until the day I die. I love you, baby, since you were sweet 16. Now it's your turn to be my teen queen. I love you, baby.
That's a cool tune by a group called The Blends. The Blends, Big John Croft on lead for that August 1960 release. Now It's Your Turn is the name of that one on the Casa Grande label. There was quantity on that record, and what I pay for that this record, like $2 or $3 when I bought it. When first started collecting, went to a Stamford, Connecticut show, and that's where I met up with Mike Michelle, and he put me on his mailing list. That's what a lot of those dealers do. They put you on their mailing list. They give you and that's what they do. They send you the list, and it was cool getting record lists in the mail, and that was the way to do it. Now you got the internet and you got a whole lot of things, but it's It's too crazy for Johnny G now with the taxes. I'm not paying sales tax. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue. Now, here's a request for the Colonel. This group out of Akron, Ohio, they first recorded as the Scarlet Tones on the Ember label. You might know their tune called Do You Remember, but then they changed their name to the Supremes. And they had this release on the Apt label. As we go back to December of 1960, going out to the Colonel, the Supremes on the Apt label. It's called Another Chance to Love.
Can your heart forgive me for the pain I've caused, and give me another chance to love. I'll never be unworthy of your love again. Please give me another chance to love. Another chance to love. You said you'd cry so many tears over me. I was untrue. I've caused you misery. You know I don't deserve a true love such as you. Please give me another chance to
Yes, I have to agree with Warren. That is a killer ballad. A killer ballad that I lost my place. Requested by the Colonel from December 1960 on the Apt record label. Those are the Supremes with Another Chance to Love. Now, Ruby Nash Garnett, she would later join this group, and of course they became Ruby and the Romantics. Yes, they did. So that is pre-Ruby and the Romantics. Johnny G is losing track of time. I am in Vinyl Treasure overtime now because we're having such a blast here for a Saturday evening. So let's continue here. Now, on last week's Vinyl Treasure Show, I featured a group called the Cheerios out of Los Angeles, California. On the Infinity label, I featured the B-side of their 45 on the Infinity label called Where Are You Tonight? Now, I think it was Daryl who said I couldn't file it away. Daryl Letts in the YouTube chat couldn't file it away unless I played the A-side. So we're going to send this one out to faithful listener Daryl. This one from September 61. These are the Cheerios on Infinity with Ding Dong Honeymoon.
Honey, will you marry me?
Yes, Chestnut.
Honeymoon. Honeymoon. I'm gonna buy you a wedding ring and propose to you. I'm gonna set a day in spring when I can marry you. black tuxedo and you wear a garment white. We're gonna say I do, and the preacher will make us man and wife. Let's get married and go on. Ain't no honeymoon. Well, in Niagara Falls, I'm gonna buy your wedding ring and propose to you. I'm gonna set a day in spring when I can marry you. Let's get married and go on. Ain't no honeymoon. Well, in Niagara Falls, I'll be dressed in a black tuxedo and we'll wear a gown of white. We're gonna say I do, and the preacher will make us man and wife. Let's get married and go on. Ding dong. Let's get married and go on. Ding dong, honeymoon. Let's get married and go on. Boom, 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 boom. Ding dong, honeymoon.
As going out to Daryl Letts, currently in our YouTube chat room. The Cheerios there. That's the intended A-side of the 45, a novelty called Ding Dong Honeymoon, September 61 on the Infinity record label. We are in Vinyl Treasure Overtime, and in the year 1961, here's a request from Mady Campboy. She requested this group from Detroit, Michigan. It's their first of 4 on Tony Ewing's Chex label, and it features Johnny Mitchell on lead. He also wrote the tune. I'm featuring the first press of this because they later changed the name of this to So I Can Forget, but initially the title of this tune was called, I don't know if it was appropriate to say this, but it was called Give Me a Cigarette. It's not good to smoke. No, it's not. But anyway, it's a request going out to Mady Campboy, December 61, Johnny Mitchell and the Majestics on the Chex label. And this is the original title. It's called Give Me a Cigarette.
Give me a cigarette. Give me a cigarette. A glass of wine. So I can forget you were ever mine. Let there be music, beautiful music, ease the pain, drown out the memory of your sweet name.
By request there from Matey Campboy, Johnny Mitchell, and the Majestics. December 1961 on the Chex record label. That's actually the first release on the Chex label. Originally came out as Give Me a Cigarette, but then they changed the title because when Matey requested it, she goes, So I Can Forget. And I'm going, do I have that record? I don't know if I have that record. So I looked on 45 Cat, and there it was. They said that was the second press, but I had Give Me a Cigarette. And of course they changed the name of that maybe because they figured that it was better to call it something else. I don't know. But anyway, that's the first release on the Chex label. Actually, their first record, their debut 45, came out on the Contour label in 59. It was called Hard Times. I have played that. I don't know if I played it here, but I have the record. Anyway, Johnny G's here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Hope you're digging on the cool tunes here. And let's continue here. Let's go to Queens, New York for this next group that initially recorded for the Madison record label. Then they signed with Amy Records and had 4 releases on the label. Let's give a listen to their 4th. And now with their previous releases, they were known as Tico and the Triumphs, but on their last release for Amy, it was just Tico. Now, Tico on this release is really Marty Cooper. He is on lead, and he co-wrote the tune, which was produced by Jerry Landis, a.k.a. Paul Simon, who was also the group's manager and also sang with the group. He did lead on 2 of their songs, but this one, it features Marty Cooper on lead, and he goes as Tico. As we go to December of '62, by Tico on the Amy label, it's called Cards of Love.
Shang-a-lang-lang, 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 sha-la-la-la-la-la-doo-dee-oo, sha-wa-ta, sha-la-la-la-la-la-doo-dee-oo, sha-wa-ta, sha-la-la-la-la-la-doo-dee-oo, sha-wa-ta. Cards of love, Jack, Queen, King. Cards of love. I was king, you were queen. Jack stepped in between. I loved you, you loved me. Cards of love. Jack came into our game, broke your heart, it was plain. He dealt me out of the cards of love. I really loved that queen, but she dealt me oh so mean. When I asked her for her hand, Jack stepped in with the wedding band. When I came home, she wasn't there, and now I'm playing solitaire. No more king, no more queen. Cards of love. Jack, Queen. No more king. Whoop-dee-oo, sha-wa-ta, sha-la-la-la. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah.
December 62 for Tico. Used to be Tico and the Triumphs, but this one's Tico. Tico's on this side is really Marty Cooper on the Amy record label, song entitled Cards of Love. I have it on a painted on Amy label, which means it's styrene. And you know how Johnny G hates styrene 45s, although that one played okay. And the more times you play the styrene, the more times it wears out. Johnny G not worn out yet. Let's let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. And here is the debut single for this group out of Louisville, Kentucky. They were called the Sultans. Very popular with the local folks in Louisville. And this one came out on Ray Allen and Jack Sanders' Tilt record label. It features Tommy Cosden on lead, and this was a #1 record on WKLO and WAKY in Louisville, Kentucky. Let's go back to June of 1961. These are the Sultans on the Tilt label. It's called It'll Be Easy. June 61 release on the Tilt label, the Sultans out of Louisville, Kentucky. Tommy Cosden on lead. It'll Be Easy is the name of that one. That is their debut single on the Tilt label. They would do 3 more on the Jam record label. 2 more came out on the Soundstage label, not Backstage, Soundstage label. And one came out on the AFCO label. Now, the lead singer, Tommy Cosden, would also record as Cosmo and the Counts. And I like that song. I really do like that song by the Sultans. Johnny G here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Back to the West Coast we go, to San Bernardino, California for this group. Now, you know their signature song first came out on the Fleet International label. It was then picked up by Bob Keane's Donna label back in 1961. And it was To Be Loved. That was the name of the tune. But Queued Up is their second biggest hit, I guess we can call it that, because this made it up to number 84 on Billboard, but this was a big number 14 on WSGN out of Birmingham, Alabama. It features Joe Jones on lead. Joe Jones Jr., I think it was his name. Not the Joe Jones who did I Talk Too Much. Not him. This is another Joe Jones. This one from August of 61. These are the Pentagons. The Pentagons on the Jamie label. It's called I Wonder, parentheses, If Your Love Will Ever Belong to Me. That's those are the Pentagons. The Pentagons from August 1961. Joe Jones Jr. on lead on the Jamie record label, the first of two on the Philadelphia Jamie label. I Wonder If Your Love Will Ever Belong to Me. Now, that's a cool tune. I think it was covered. Ricky Nelson does a nice version of that song. He does. Johnny G here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Have another flip side from last week. I played a request for the Colonel on Morty Craft's Bambi label. It was by the Mood Makers, a.k.a. the Five Delights. We heard earlier their tune, There'll Be No Goodbye, but I played the A-side of this. It was called Dolores. Let's flip it over. It's got a nice B-side here. Again, Ed Jordan on lead for this one. And I know that Warren has this record. Warren, did you notice on the label, if you look closely on the label, in small print, you'll see orchestra direction of Rocky Gibraltar. It's kind of weird. It says Rocky G. Gibraltar. And maybe that's Morty Kraft trying to be funny or something. But anyway, let's give a listen to the flip side here. May 61, the Mood Makers on Bambi. It's called Dream a Dream. I have to agree with Warren. That's a great two-sided 45. The Mood Makers, a.k.a. they're the Five Delights, too. May 61, or they recorded earlier as the Five Delights. Dream a Dream is the name of that one on the Bambi record label. We are in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Now, here's a record out of California on a label called Cal Gold. Now, the only other 40, I think I have two other records on this Cal Gold label. A female singer, I forget her name, and I have a group called The Three Friends. I know the song is called Blue Ribbon Baby. I know it's on this label, but this artist goes by the name of Scotty Wendom, Wendom, and this one came out in November of 1961. I don't know if if there's a group backing him up, but it would be better if he had a group backing him up, but I like the song. Let's give it a spin. It's on the Cal Gold label, Scotty Wendom from November 61. It's called Rickalia.
What for you granny folk? What for you granny girl? Tell me why? Why are you granny girl? Recaya my love. I'll save my blue chip stamps and bought you a cut glass ring. So stop crying, won't you stop crying, girl? Recaya my love. But on the day, hey, now listen, day of I'm married, you came marching down the aisle, girl, with nurse says Oxford's out. Recaya my love. Why, yeah. Whoa. Recaya my love. Although you're 6'4", you're still my own true love. So stop crying, won't you stop crying, girl? Recaya my love. Whoa, why, yeah.
Sounds, he's saying Rickeia, but it's spelled on the label Rickaleia. I thought that was Rickalia or Rickala, maybe Rickalia. I don't know. Anyway, that's the name of the tune. It's Scotty Wendom from November 61. It's on the Cal Gold record label. Johnny G's here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. I knew I needed to get to this request for the bopper boy Warren for this group of servicemen from Phoenix, Arizona. They were signed to Floyd Ramsey's Ramco label, and it's their only release, and it's with the Mike Metco combo. Now, the lead on this one is someone by the name of Wilford Johnson, and this is a request for bopper boy Warren. Warren, did you say you had this record or you discovered this record recently? But it's not the rarest on the label. There is one rarer than this, but this would be the second rarest record on this Ramco label. Going out to bopper boy Warren, December 62. They're called the Versatiles. The song is called Just Pretending.
Pretending, but what good will that do? Must I go on pretending until my dreams come true? I'm pretending, just pretending, all alone is no fun. The secret is blending.
45's by request for Warren. Nice tune there by the Versatiles, a group out of Phoenix, Arizona. Yes, Daryl, lots of groups called the Versatiles. December 62 on the Ramco label. A song entitled Just Pretending. Johnny G doesn't pretend here on Saturday night. I feature only original vinyls, so I don't pretend with MP3s or CDs. I pretend I am with the real thing. I am the real deal on a Saturday night as we continue here. Now, a couple weeks ago, maybe more than a couple weeks ago, I played the second of two for this group called the Valiants. Again, another group that a very common name for a bunch of groups. This is not the same Valiants that recorded for Keane, not the same Billy Storm and the Valiants group, as they had two releases on the Imperial label, and it must have been maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago I played one side. It was called I'm in a World of My Own. So let's give a listen to the flip side before it goes back down in the No Humidity basement. I think this is the intended A-side here from February 63. The Valiants on Imperial. It's called Living in Paradise.
Stars above and thinking of only love and living in paradise, 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 never ever break my heart. Paradise, 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 living in paradise and loving in paradise and holding her close to me. Squeezing her gently.
That's the second of two for a group called the Valiants. The Valiants on the Imperial label. February 63, it's called Living in Paradise. Yes, it is. And up next, a request for Nat Papagallo. This record is out of Washington, D.C. by this kitty lead by the name of Napoleon Tice. He co-wrote the song with Charles Brooks, and it was supervised by Eddie Singleton, songwriter and producer who married Raynoma Lyles Gordy. Now, this is on the Norwood label by request for Nat Papagallo from November 1962, Napoleon Tice on Norwood. It's called Sitting Here. By request for Nat Papagallo down in Naples, Florida. Napoleon Tice and a group backing him up there, November 62. Sitting Here is the name of that one on the Norwood record label. Johnny G's Sitting Here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Let's go for a few more sides here. Let's go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for this next group. They had two national hits in the year 1961. You know their biggest. It was their version of Blue Moon made it up to number one. I think their next biggest hit was a song called Heartaches, a 45 my aunt purchased back in 1961. But here is their 12th release for Colpix Records. It was recorded April 16th, 1962, but not released until May of 1963. This is the intended A-side. It features Cornelius Harp on lead. We go back to May of 1963. These are the Marcells, the great Marcells on Colpix, with their tune called I Wanna Be the Leader.
Everyone's talking about Mr. Bassman. Everyone's talking about me. That's me they're talking about. Everyone's singing about Mr. Bassman. Everyone's singing about me. That's me they're singing about. Watch me. Now you. Oh no, 'cause I wanna be the leader of the group. You'll never find me singing. I wanna sing the words that's written in my heart, so you can understand and you can be a part. What would Mary say if I sang a ring-a-ling-a-ding-dong? What would Amy do if she had attitude? Don't forget about Paula, she's so fine. But if I sang those crazy words, she'd think I lost my mind. I wanna be the leader of the group. You'll never find me singing I wanna sing the words that's written in my heart, so you can understand and you can be a part. Listen now. Oh no, like our day will come. Don't go away, little girl. But if it don't, one broken heart for sale. You're the reason I'm living. You really gotta hold on me. Every time I sing, I change from a jack to a king. I wanna be the leader of the group. You'll never find me singing. I wanna sing the words that's written in my heart, so you can understand and you can be a part. Oh no, I wanna be the leader. What's the matter with what I say? 'Cause I wanna be the leader. What's the matter with the I wanna be the leader. How about
That's Pittsburgh's own Marcells. Cornelius Harp on lead there. The Marcells, their 12th release on the Colpix record label. I Wanna Be the Leader is the name of that one. I love the B-side of that 45. Give Me Back Your Love. So I'm going to play that on another show. Not next week. Next week's a special tribute show for my Aunt Mary. Her favorite tunes right here on Johnny G's Vinyl Treasure Show. Let's continue here. Here's a request for Chuck Staton. This tune originally recorded by the Desires on the Hull label back in 1959. Let's give a listen to this cover version from this Philadelphia group called Rick and the Masters. Rick and the Masters, and Rick is really Tony Trombata. He is on lead. This is the second of two on the Philadelphia Cameo record label. So by request for Chuck Staton, February 63 for Rick and the Masters with their version of Let It Please Be You.
Is there someone that I want? Let it please be you. Is there someone that I need? Let it please be you. Darling, don't you know I'm in need for you? I plead to you. I'm in need for you. Is there
request for Chuck Staton there, Rick and the Keens. Rick is really Tony Rick Trombata on lead, February 63 release, the second of two on the Cameo label, Let It Please Be You. That one charted number 16 on WAAT in Trenton, New Jersey, and they had another release on the Harold label for Rick and the Keens. Johnny G here doing Vinyl Treasure Overtime, and let's do a flip side from last week, a rare 45 out of Houston, Texas on the San Leon label. I featured Johnny Till from 63, played Ding Dong Bells. That was, I don't know if that was the A-side or B-side, but let's flip it over here. There's an uncredited group backing them up on this. It's not a cheapo record, this one. It's from 1963. Let's flip over Ding Dong Bells by Johnny Till on San Leon, and you get this song called Dreamy Eyes.
Dreamy eyes, dreamy eyes, dreamy eyes. That's what you are. That's what you are. Dreamy eyes. Set my soul afire. You are my heart's desire. That's what you are. That's what you are. I love the way you hold me when we're all alone. Darling, I'm so lonesome. Won't you please come on home? Whoa, dreamy eyes, dreamy eyes, dreamy eyes. That's what you are. That's what you are. My dream, 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 dreamy eyes. Darling, come on. You know I'm so come on.
Rare 45s here as we close down the Vinyl Treasure Show. That's Johnny Till, T-I-L-L, 1963, with a group backing him up, Dreamy Eyes, and Matey likes that tune there on the San Leon, L-E-O-N label out of Houston, Texas. Got one more request. I think that's the last. No, actually, I do have a couple other requests here as Johnny G is losing his mind here. It's 1 a.m. here, hour overtime here. Wow. Anyway, this is for Nat Papagallo. Members of this next group went on to join the Temptations, the Motown Temptations, and those members were Otis Williams. This group consisted of Otis Williams, who did go on to join the Temptations, second tenor Elbridge Bryant, and the bass Melvin Franklin. He also went on to join the Temptations, and they are backing up someone by the name of Richard Strick, who is really Richard Street on this. And of course they were known as The Distance. This one came out, I'm featuring this one on the Harmon label. This is on the Harmon label, written and produced by Norman Whitfield, and features Richard Street on lead. This one by request for Nat Papagallo, March 62. Give a listen to The Distance on the Harmon label called Answer Me.
Answer me when I ask you, do you care? Answer me because I wanna know that you love me and you need me. So why don't you come on in? We will go to a far land.
March 1962, released there by request for Nat Papagallo, listening in Naples, Florida. Nat, if you're up, I'm surprised. You have to hear it on the archive. Those are The Distance with the Richard Street on lead, Answer Me, featured it on the Harmon record label. I think Charlene said it comes out on a couple labels. I have The Distance on the Northern label. I do have them. I have The Distance on the Warwick label. I do that, but I don't have them on Thelma. And there's one other label. No, that's it. That's all. Anyway, that's going to do it for Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show. I want to thank you for joining Johnny G, listening to original vinyl 45s out of my collection. You want to get in touch with Johnny G, send me an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com. Let me know what you think about the show. If you're a new listener, if you like what I'm doing, I enjoy what I'm doing, so that's really all that matters, I guess. But I'm in the new YouTube setup. It's a new thing here. They have it all set up here. I got to see if how I'm going to end it here. It's got end stream, so I don't know how that's going to go. Should be interesting. But you can also go to vinyltreasures.net. I think Daryl, you said I have shows that go back to March of 2015. You can actually see how heavy I once was and how I lost 84 pounds today. So you can see that difference. Anyway, no, but you're going to see the music. But anyway, that's going to do it for the show. We're going to close the show actually with a B-side from last week. Actually, Daryl typed in that I couldn't file this record away unless I played the flip side. So we're going to play it for Daryl. It's from 1961, and last week I played the Vol chords on the Regatta label with the tune called Bongo Love. And we're going to flip it over, and we're going to close the show tonight with the flip side of that. It's called Peekaboo Love. Interesting. But anyway, that's the closer tonight. Going out to Daryl Letts, listener Daryl Letts. And the Vol chords from 61, It's called Peekaboo Love on the Regatta label. That's going to do it, folks. Please tune in tomorrow evening for my buddy Dave the Rave and his Relics and Rarities show and all the shows here on Top Shelf Oldies. I thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you, Charlene, for all your help last minute again. But I'll be back next Saturday, a special tribute show for my aunt. I will try to bring out some of her original 45's that they're pretty interesting, because she used to put the those Chicago metal inserts in, and some of the center holes are so messed up. But anyway, it's interesting to see her records. She used to write her name on them, and she used to write all her boyfriends' names on them. But some of them will be maybe some records that many of you are familiar with, and probably some rarities that she had in her collection. But I'm going to pay tribute to my aunt next Saturday night, as her birthday would have been November 21st. I think she would have been 75 years old, I think. But anyway, that's going to do it for Johnny G. And I'll see you here next Saturday starting at 10 p.m. right here on Top Shelf Oldies for the Vinyltreasure Show. I want everybody to have a safe and happy week. Just want to say, everybody, so long.
Just where I've been. She walks up behind me, says, I see you, peekaboo. I've got a peekaboo, sweetheart. Oh, I've got a peekaboo, sweetheart. Peeping around the corners and around the bends. She knows everything I do, just where I've been. She walks up behind me, says, I see you, peekaboo.
Okay, folks, that's going to do it. I'm telling you, I had trouble setting up this YouTube thing tonight, so I was late, and I have it all discombobulated. There you go, Daryl, that's for you. Peekaboo Love. Was that the A-side? Was this the A-side or what? Although I like 2004, 1925. Actually, Daryl, that was the A-side, or intended A-side. It's got the smaller number, most of the time is. But I like Bongo Love better for some reason. I don't know. I had a few other records to play, but it's too late. 12 minutes after now. That's late. You guys up pretty late, unless you're international. Anyway, thanks for sticking around, folks. I'll see you next Saturday. It'll be my tribute show to my aunt. A lot of, I don't want to say common hits, but some of her favorites. I don't play a lot of hits on the show, or records that may have been more popular with a lot of the people who used to listen to top radio here, because she used to listen to Alan Freed, Murray the K, and a couple of the other stations, WINS, WABC, Jocko Henderson, a whole bunch of things. So anyway, well, I'll show you some of her records. I'll show you some of her scratchy records, and it should be a lot of fun. But again, I'm sorry that she's gone, but that's how it goes. But anyway, enough of that. I'll see you next week, folks. Thanks again, Charlene, and everybody have a great week. And I'll see you next Saturday, hopefully. Take care now. Bye-bye.